Welcome to Body by Design. I'm your host, Blue Driver, a women's strength training and metabolism coach. I went from years suffering hormone imbalances, looking soft and bloated, to symptom-free and building muscle for a toned athletic physique. Since then, I've made it my mission to empower women to take control of their own health, hormones and body composition. So grab a cup of coffee and let's build your body by design. Hello everyone and welcome back to Body by Design. If you happen to catch my live on the weekend, you would have heard me refer to your body as a budget, similar to your budget, your home budget. And here's the thing, if you can't afford your electricity bill, you should not be out buying a Gucci handbag. And I know you want that muscle and I know you want that sculpted body, but right now, the way you're running your body's budget, you would be bankrupt, absolutely bankrupt with the way you're doing it. Now, taking a client example, I had a client that came to me that wanted to be, nice and sculpted, look like they trained, like, the popping shoulders and, the bigger booty and some nice quads. They really wanted to look like they trained, but they were sleeping 5 hours a night, skipping meals, relying on caffeine for energy in the mornings, drinking caffeine in the afternoon, and doing all these things that actually work against the body. It depletes the body's budget. Now, if we want to have a look at this in the way that is in relation to a budget, I want you to think about it in that way, because it actually is as simple as like a mathematical equation. What you need to put in enough to have enough output. And when I liken it to a budget, your electricity is your running systems. Electricity runs your house. In the modern world, electricity runs our house. It gives us hot water to shower. It gives us energy to cook our food on the stove. It gives us light to be able to do things in the evening. So we need electricity, right? We need it for our survival. Well, if you don't have enough to pay for the electricity, you're not going to go and waste your money on a Gucci handbag. And your Gucci handbag is muscle, okay? In this example, Gucci handbag is muscle. It is the premium. And if you don't have enough money to pay that electricity bill, you're not out buying that. So if your body does not have enough of the foundations, so the vitamins and minerals, the sleep, reduced stress, and the right form of training for recovery, then you're not going to have enough to be able to build muscle. Muscle is the Gucci handbag. It is really expensive, calorically expensive to maintain. So it takes a lot of, so this is where we see, how can that person eat so much food? Well, they're eating a lot of food because they have a lot of muscle mass. Yes, energy expenditure as well, but muscle at rests burns a lot more energy than what fat does. So it costs a lot to run in the way of calories, and it costs a lot to build. If you don't have the muscle and you're trying to build it, you're trying to acquire that Gucci handbag, you need to save. And, if you don't have enough vitamins and minerals, it's not just about protein. Protein is a huge component of it, but to convert all that protein into the materials and amino acids that we need to create the muscle, we also need fats and carbohydrates that add to all different systems and the way we break down food and produce it and the way we utilize the nutrients. So if we don't have enough of all of that, it's not going to build this new material. Our bodies are innately a very smart being. They are built to survive, and it will survive at all costs. Your body will make sure that you survive over having extra muscle, over creating a new life. So this is where hormones come into it too. And yes, I talk about the muscle building side of things as well. But if you hit perimenopause where your hormones are already unsupported, then perimenopause and menopause is going to be a nightmare. We're seeing an epidemic of it these days, that perimenopause is more than just a few hot flushes, and feeling a little bit out of sorts. People are suffering anxiety and depression and major aches and pains in the joints, frozen shoulder, significant hot flushes and night sweats that are impacting sleep. It's impacting, brain cognition. There's so many things going on. And yes, they're all symptoms that we can suffer, but they're because our hormones are shifting and it's that time of life. But when our hormones are already out of balance and unsupported, because our body is just trying to funnel everything into the electricity, it's trying to funnel in everything to surviving, it's not going to prioritize any of those vitamins and minerals into your sex hormones, which are there for you to procreate, for you to create a new life, because you can't even keep yourself alive. Your body is not going to give you something that you can waste on creating another life that you can't build or sustain on the outside, because currently you don't even have enough to keep your own body alive. And when we're talking about the functions that keep us alive, we're talking about it's going to make sure that your cardiovascular is still working, that your respiratory is good, that your brain function is good, that your immune system is good. But then these things will keep us alive, but we don't have to have muscle to be alive. We don't have to have a baby to stay alive. So they're things that are of a premium. So if we don't nail the foundations of our body for survival, then give it additional to be able to build the muscle or have our sex hormones in a place where they are stable and functioning correctly, we're not going to build that muscle, are we? We're not going to be able to create new muscle because we don't have enough. So you need to optimize your body. If you truly want a midlife transformation, yes, a lot of it is aesthetics that I talk about here, but ultimately the aesthetics are simply a symptom of your lifestyle and habits. A body that can build muscle on its own is a body that is optimal. A body that is making its way through perimenopause without major disruptions. Now, we're not getting out of perimenopause scot-free. Please understand that. And there are plenty of tools because our hormones are shifting. Our body's going through a transition. It's like teenagers going through, puberty. They're not getting out of it scot-free. But the thing is, it doesn't have to be as bad as what a lot of people are suffering. It doesn't have to be that life impacting. And we're seeing a lot of that. So we want to optimize our body so we can pay our electricity bill, pay for the water, and then also be able to go out to the movies and buy a Gucci handbag if that's what we want to do. And to have that, we need to be optimal in the foundations. And the foundations of an optimal body are lifestyle, nutrition, and effective training. So let's start from number one, lifestyle factors. Sleep, sun, and stress are the major ones. If you are not getting 7 to 9 hours sleep a night, your body is not recovering well. So lots of things can happen here. One of them is our actual muscle growth and muscle building happens while we sleep, when we are in that deep sleep. So it's the state of deep sleep that our body builds muscle. REM sleep is also important for cognitive function. Okay, so we've got all these different types of sleep, but in deep sleep, that is where we will grow muscle. So it's really important to be getting enough of this sleep. I know I can't function on any less than 7.5 hours. Generally 8, I feel a lot better. So that 7.5 to 8 is what I need. But somewhere between that 7 and 9 hours is where you will be optimal with sleep. The other thing that happens when we don't sleep is it drives our adrenaline, because we haven't been at rest for as long as what we should be. And when we're at rest, we're obviously burning less energy. So if we go through a period of lack of sleep, you'll probably find that you're a lot more hungry and your adrenaline is driving to say you've been using too much energy because you didn't have enough downtime. So you're using more energy than normal. You need to eat more. So it drives your adrenaline. It's actually a hormone within us that signals our hunger and full signals. So adrenaline drives our hunger, okay? So if we aren't sleeping well enough, that's going to be higher and we're going to have cravings and want to eat more. So that can work against us in, the body fat, so in the body recomposition side of things. It is also going to affect things like your cognitive function, etc. So that's sleep. Sunshine. We wake up, we put our face in our phone, we go and get ready for work, We get in our car, we drive to work, we walk into a building, we stay there all day, we don't come out. At lunchtime, we don't see any sunlight, we finish in the afternoon, we get in our car, we drive home, we come home, we flop down on the lounge because we're exhausted, we put our face in our phone again, and then the evening comes and we cook dinner and sit ourselves down in front of the TV. Where is the sunlight? The sun is literally the life force of this earth. It doesn't matter what life form you're looking at, in every way, shape, or form, the sun is making us survive. It's not something to be feared. Now, I'm not suggesting you go out and get burnt at all, but slathering yourself in chemicals which are known carcinogenics in sunscreen, and then covering up, long sleeves, big hats, sunglasses, that your body never sees the light of day, is actually working against us. We're very low in vitamin D. So then the next thing people go to is, oh, take a supplement. Did you know vitamin D is actually not a vitamin? It's a hormone. Do you really want to be messing with that more than you need to be? And then there's the whole don't eat saturated fats. Well, saturated fats actually contain cholesterol. And the whole way the sun works is it needs to touch your skin. And when those ultraviolet rays touch your skin contains the cholesterol you've been eating in the saturated fats, and it touches the cholesterol, and the cholesterol changes into vitamin D or hormone D. And it's really important for us. And a lot of anxiety can be driven from it, a lot of depression can be driven from it, and it is a hormone, so it affects our hormone function. And that can include things like growth hormones, which can affect the way we build muscle. So we want to be getting some sunlight. Please don't step out in the midday sun for 3 hours, come back in, burnt to a crisp, and go, but Lou from Body Design told me that I needed sunlight. No, let's use our common sense here. I'm not suggesting you go out and get burnt, but what we should be doing is moving with the seasons and doing our gradual build up. So as the sun starts to increase through summer, if we're actually out there more, like out in the sun, our skin builds up a sensitivity to it, but we don't want to be out there for that long that it burns us. So generally what I would do is, if I'm outdoors for a long period of time, because say there's, I've gone to watch, I don't know, a kid's soccer game or whatever it is that you're doing, and I'm out in the sunshine, I will spend the first little bit. Now, it's going to vary for everyone, because if you haven't been out in the sun before, you probably want to start with 5 or 10 minutes in the middle of the midday sun. You don't want to go out there and actually fry yourself. So start small. For me, I can get a good half hour without being burnt in midday sun, whereas I never used to be able to do that. So start small, but spend that time in the sun up to the threshold before you burn, and then put a long sleeve shirt and a hat and sunglasses on. You've given your body the opportunity to have sunlight touch your skin. Also setting your circadian rhythm, your melatonin, and all those sorts of things that actually flow into stress, which we'll talk about in a minute. Having your circadian rhythm set well, so seeing the morning light before you do blue light, before you turn all the lights on in the house and spend an hour getting ready. Just step outside, make yourself a cuppa and step outside in the sunlight for 5 minutes. Put your face, your eyeballs. Now, if you're wearing reading glasses or seeing glasses like I do, I actually take them off because we have a lot of reflective coatings on them. Get your glasses off and just spend 5 minutes with your face and your eyeballs in the very first morning light. And if you can, spend 5 minutes as the sun is setting as well. And then at midday, step outside, pull your sleeves up and let some of that sun touch your skin. And that way we can set our circadian rhythm, have great melatonin for sleep, and then we're getting our vitamin D conversion that we need, which are all super important for an optimal body. Then we go to stress, lifestyle stress. I think every woman I'm speaking to, you're stressed. You've been running around after the family. You've been trying to keep the boss happy. You're trying to keep up with the family, all these things. And we're always putting ourselves last. And it really is the 40 to 50 age bracket where I see people just go, enough's enough. I'm falling apart. My kids are grown up. They're fairly independent now. I've got more time and yet I feel less like doing anything. And this is where the whole downhill, over the hill at 40 came from. And it doesn't actually have to be that way. And it's like a whole movement happening now where women are just standing up and going, enough is enough. And they're putting themselves first. So setting some boundaries. You might have a teenage kid. Do you really need to be making their lunch? I'm sure they could be doing that. Do you really need to be doing all the washing? Can't they put a load through for you? These are just like some really small things to think about. But put some boundaries in place where you say yes to yourself first, where you prioritize you getting your nutrition, getting your daily movement in, and just reducing some of the workload on you to bring down stress. And the thing is, when you do this and stress levels are lower, you actually find you've got a lot more to give. But what happens with stress? Cortisol is what happens. Now, cortisol is a much needed hormone. When we go back in the day, run from the lion, we would have a spike in cortisol and it would shut down. When our cortisol rises, we are in danger and we need to respond quickly. So there's that fight or flight syndrome. We get that cortisol spike and we're meant to run from the lion, and it will shut down our digestion. It will shut down anything going to our reproductive. It will shut down anything going into building muscle mass, any of those sorts of things. It will shut down and filter all of your energy system into run from the lion, or fight for your life until you are safe. So you run from the lion, get in a cave, and then it comes down. But that's what's meant to happen. It's meant to come down. But what's happening in modern world? It's not coming down. We're so wound up and stressed all the time. Run, all the time. And our cortisol is staying high and we're getting stuck in high cortisol. Cortisol is catabolic. So it is going to eat your muscle. So what muscle you have, it will waste away, but it's also going to prevent you from creating new muscle. Cortisol will also drive your insulin. And when you are constantly in high insulin, you then become insulin resistant. And when you become resistant to insulin, so it doesn't unlock the cells anymore, it's like it's knocking at the door and you're just ignoring it now. And it knocks a little harder and you continue to ignore it. And then it's bashing on the door and you're still ignoring it. Well, normally it unlocks that door so you can let the glucose in. But you're so used to the insulin knocking on the door, you just can't hear it anymore. It's like when you've got kids, you kind of tune out your kids, don't you? Well, you've tuned out the insulin and you're not responding to it anymore. So then your glucose stays in your blood system. So then you end up with high glucose. And we all know what happens with high glucose. We can hit weight loss resistance and it can cause thyroid issues. There's lots of things that can happen here. And a lot of it is stemming from cortisol. If your cortisol stays too high for too long, it will steal your progesterone. It's called pregnenolone steal. So it takes pregnenolone, and pregnenolone will donate to making progesterone. So as a woman in your 40s where your progesterone is starting to decline, if you haven't managed your stress, then your progesterone's going down even faster because you can't keep up with the constant production of cortisol and it's now taking your progesterone away. It's now not got enough to produce both cortisol spikes as needed and progesterone. It's actually just taking it to constant cortisol pumping. Then your adrenals will give up altogether and it will be low. You won't produce cortisol and then you become extremely fatigued. So you can see how this would impact your body. And that's just with the modern day stress. But stress actually then flows into nutrition and training. So there's a crossover there between lifestyle stress, being emotional, run down, lack of boundaries, those sorts of things. Then we go into stress created by nutritional deficiencies. Now that can be not enough calories, excessive amounts of highly processed foods which contain PUFAs, gums, preservatives, additives, artificial sweeteners. They're all a level of toxin. And yes, okay, the studies are out there that show at very small levels, they have no impact on our body and they're very safe to have. Yep, okay, that's if you have it once. But they are everywhere in our food, so you're actually not consuming small amounts. If you're eating a highly processed diet, packaged foods, even if you think you're doing the right thing, you know, I hear people say, well, yes, but I eat very clean and I get plenty of protein and I'm having protein powder. But what is in that protein powder? It's cookies and cream flavor. There's no nutrition in that other than protein. There is no other nutrition in that. So you're missing out by having flavored proteins. You're missing nutrients. So when I use a protein powder, I use a protein powder in a shake with fruits and, or I might have cacao powder or something like that. They're all naturally occurring foods that contain vitamins and minerals. So I'm adding to my vitamin and my mineral balance by not using a flavored protein powder. Then on top of that, synthetic vitamins, which throw our body out of balance. And then there is things like your preservatives and your artificial sweeteners, which have impacts on your body when we're having too much. So whether it's highly processed foods or you've fallen into the trap of the fitness world of all these protein bars and protein shakes that are all highly flavored and got lots of additives in it, they are a stressor on your body. Nutrient gaps. Women very often are low in selenium, vitamin A, copper, B vitamins. All these vitamins that you're just not getting enough of. They cause stresses in your body. Okay, so you might be emotionally balanced and have some boundaries, but if you're not eating enough calories, getting all the nutrients that you need, you now have nutritional gaps and energy gaps. And that is a stressor on the body. So that then becomes catabolic. So you're not going to be able to build the muscle that you need. And again, we go back to muscle being the Gucci handbag. It's also going to have repercussions on your sleep. So if you don't have enough calories, what happens with cortisol when we sleep? It actually spikes in the morning. It's designed to spike in the morning. It should. Everyone goes, don't drink coffee in the morning. It spikes your cortisol. Oh, please. Your cortisol is meant to spike in the morning, and it actually reaches its peak at about 9 o'clock. Doesn't mean that you can't have caffeine. Just have caffeine with food, please, so it doesn't dump your blood sugar, is essentially what you should be doing. Because if you have caffeine on an empty stomach, it drops your blood sugar really low, which then becomes an extra stressor on your body. So then your cortisol goes excessively high. But your cortisol is going to spike in the morning because that's what wakes you up. You go to sleep at night, your cortisol actually drops off in the evening. So towards mid-afternoon, it starts declining, right? And it drops right off in the evening. So you have the ability to sleep. The cortisol drops, melatonin takes over, you have the ability to sleep. Early hours of the morning, it starts to spike. Well, if you don't have enough calories, and the calories put, and carbohydrates particularly, puts stores into your glycogen stores into your liver. If you run out of those stores because you don't have enough energy or enough carbohydrates in your body, then your cortisol is going to spike early. So then you are that person who's wide awake at 2-3 o'clock in the morning going, hello, what the fuck am I doing awake? So then it starts interrupting your sleep pattern. Can you see how all of this is linked? As I'm talking through all of this, all these things that have multiple impacts on your body, and it just goes round and round in circles because we're not doing what we need to optimize it. I hear you. You come and ask me the questions and you start asking, oh, well, what supplements should I take? Or what food should I eat? Or what training program should I do to recover? And it's great that you're asking these questions and that you're wanting to improve, but you're missing the bigger picture, which is not one training program. It's not one meal plan. It's not one supplement. It's not one calorie intake. It's not how much sleep. It's all of it. Because if you're missing pieces of it, it's still going to create stresses in your life. This is all linked. So these deficiencies, whether it be a calorie deficiency or a nutrients deficiency, can also cause stress. Excuse me, I'm just getting through my morning coffee at the moment. It was an early start for me today. So then we also want to talk about, okay, let's look at nutrition deficiencies. As I said before, women are lacking a lot in vitamin A, selenium, copper, B vitamins. And this is because we've been caught up. And I know you message me and you go, oh, but I eat healthy. And as soon as someone says to me, yeah, but I eat healthy, red flag straight away. And I want to know what you're eating. I'll often ask you, track your food and take some screenshots and send it to me, and I can see gaps immediately. You have been caught up in this fitness world, trying to build this amazing body, and you've gotten to the point now where nothing is working because we're not as resilient and our hormones are shifting and the stress is getting higher and the cortisol is spiking. You need to put some nutrients into your body. And this eating broccoli and salads and nuts and sugar-free foods. The other red flag, I'm cutting sugars, is code for I don't eat carbohydrates. Now, I'm all for cutting. There's nothing wrong with plain sugar. Let's get this very clear. When people go, oh, I'm cutting sugar, it really grates on me. I'm going to say it really grates on me because it's actually not the sugar. If I was to put a teaspoon of sugar into my coffee, I've got a great diet. That teaspoon of sugar, and I eat a lot of calories because I've built muscle and I've optimized my body and I feel really great, and all my other food is packed full of vitamins and minerals, that if I want to have a teaspoon of sugar in my coffee, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's not poison. It's just got no nutrients. When does it become poison? I remember watching this show on Netflix. Oh, what was it called? Can't remember what it was called. And it was a guy. So one, he was vegetarian. and he decided to, he had all of his blood work done, and then he decided to go on what he called a sugar diet. But they're blaming the sugar. But you should have seen what he was eating. It was all highly processed foods. So again, protein bars, up and goes, cookies, crap ice cream that's not even got any fucking milk in it. Like all this stuff. It's not the sugar that's killing you. It is the absence of nutrients with surplus energy. Because let's face it, sugar is energy. Right? So you've got a surplus of energy because you're eating a lot of it. In these highly processed foods, they are high calories, as well as they're highly palatable. So you want more. You can't stop at one cookie. You've got to eat the packet of cookies. And then when you've also been trying to restrict, your body's driving you going, hey, I need some fuel here. And then you cave and take that cookie or that up and go. So this guy ate all this shit and fruit juices. He goes, and juice is really bad for you. Actually, he was drinking reconstituted juice that was also filled with, a lot of other preservatives and stuff with it. It wasn't even a real squeezed orange juice. And then his markers came back terrible and they went, see, it's sugar. It's not the fucking sugar. It's the absence of nutrients and the overload of chemicals and preservatives in it. So you can have sugar. Fuck, I make homemade custard with sugar, but you know what? It's got milk and it's got eggs, and that's full of vitamin A, K, D, protein, carbohydrates. And yes, I put sugar in it to sweeten it, but it's got all these B vitamins. It's got all these vitamins, calcium, potassium, phosphorus. Like it's got everything that we need in it. Now, if I've had a little bit of sugar to sweeten it up and make it taste great, as long as I'm not overdoing my calorie expenditure, so my energy out and I'm within my calories, I've actually just eaten something that's really nutritionally dense. It's just got a little bit of extra energy because of sugar. So it's not the sugar. So when someone says I eat healthy and I'm cutting sugar, it's a really big red flag to me. Yes, cut the processed food. I eat ice cream, but I make my own, and it's got milk and cream. Yes, it's got sugar. Sometimes it has eggs. Then if it's going to be a strawberry one, it's pureed strawberries, real fucking strawberries with vitamins and minerals in it. Not like what you go and buy from the supermarket that's got gums and preservatives and all these additives, and you're lucky to find a drop of milk in there because it's thickened with all these other things. You're not going to find any cream and milk in there. So there's a really big difference between the type of ice cream that you eat. Now, again, can I eat mass amounts? Can I eat a tub of ice cream just because it's good for me because I made it? Well, no, not if I want to maintain my weight. I've still got to eat within my calories that maintain me, but it's not a prohibited food. I make fudge. Fudge is amazing. Sweetened condensed milk. So again, just milk with sugar. Chocolate. I get a chocolate that's got no soy lectin or preservatives or anything in it. I particularly like Lindt 70% chocolate. Check the country that you're in. I know the US 70% actually still has soy lectin in it. In Australia, it doesn't. So do check your chocolates, but find your brands that are just milk solids, cocoa, that's it. You don't want any additives in it. So I make fudge with sweetened condensed milk, some chocolate. Like it's all really nutrient dense foods. But I also have a lot of fruit and grass-fed meat and root vegetables and juices, things that are all packed with nutrients. So sugar and eating healthy is a really big one that when you say that to me, that is a red flag. The thing with things like platefuls of salads, there's nothing wrong with eating the salad as long as you don't have gut issues. So in the beginning, when my clients come in, I actually get them to stop eating heaps of green vegetables like broccolis or cruciferous veg. So broccolis, cauliflowers, cabbage, beans. I get them to really try and cut them out. Salad leaves, kale, all those sorts of things, because generally we have gut disturbances when we haven't been eating well. They are really harsh on the gut lining. They have anti-nutrients, so they upset the gut lining. Now, you can go back to eating them, but when you've been eating platefuls of them, you probably want to tone it down to begin with. Now, I eat them now. I just don't eat them often. And the thing is, if you looked at how much nutrients, volume of nutrients in a plate of salad compared to the same amount of calories if you had like root vegetables, say potatoes, sweet potato, pumpkin, zucchini, say you did a big tray bake, a beautiful roast veggies, or you had air fryer chips with some coconut oil on it compared to a bunch of spinach and a little bit of a sprinkling of cucumber and tomato and an oil dressing, and they were the same amount of calories, I can guarantee you not only is there more nutrients in those air fryer potatoes, they are bioavailable, which means our body can extract, digest, and utilize the nutrients that is there a lot more easy, so more readily than we can from the salads. We find it very hard to extract the nutrients. So the nutrients quantity is lower in the same amount of calories, and it's much harder for our body to extract it. And if you're eating it in excess, you have gut disturbances, bloat, diarrhea, constipation, indigestion, any of those sorts of things are actually gut disturbances. Apologies if you're hearing that noise. That is my phone going off because I didn't put it on silent. It's on silent now. So, backing off on those to begin with, there is nothing wrong with salads, but it was meant to be a side salad. It was never meant to be the meal. Like people go out, and you might go out and go, oh, I'm going out to lunch. I'll have the chicken Caesar salad. So you got a bit of protein in it. Great. It's probably fuck all anyway because they don't really put much in it. And it's a bunch of lettuce and then a big greasy dressing that will be made from polyunsaturated oils, PUFAs, seed oils, shit. That's got to be one of the worst things you could have for you compared to if you had some nice baked potato and a steak. So we want to be looking at what sort of foods are actually bioavailable for us and no more of this cutting food groups. So whether it's like, oh, I'm on low fat diet. Well, hello, we actually need fat in our diet because fat has vitamin K, vitamin D, vitamin E, all the fat soluble vitamins, vitamin A. It's 5 of them. I think I've missed one. Anyway, 5 fat-soluble vitamins, which means without fat, you don't get those vitamins. You either aren't absorbing them or that food doesn't contain them. And we need those, particularly for our hormone balance. Fats is very, very good for our hormones. And if our hormones are all out of whack and we're all out of whack, the last thing you're going to want to be able to do is go to the gym and push hard to create the stimulus to create the muscle. So therefore, it's going to impact you creating the body of your dreams because you're not optimal. See how that impacts again? As well as you're living in this era of high fluctuation of your hormones at the moment. And then you're not giving your body what it needs anyway. Your hormones are going to tank quickly, and you are going to feel horrendous. So we need fat, okay? This low carbohydrate or no carbohydrate. Did you know that carbohydrates, your brain only functions on carbohydrates? So, removing them from our diet, if you remove, let's take the carnivore diet, for example, you stay carnivore for years and years and years. There are therapeutic benefits to carnivore and keto, and I'm not going to get into that here. And some people may need a small period of carnivore or keto at some point to reset their body. But if you take these therapeutic diets and you live on them like they are the answer to losing fat and losing weight and building muscle because it's lots of protein, you are mistaken because you have just cut an entire food group of carbohydrates that are high in vitamins and minerals. You stay on that long enough, your body will become more and more depleted. If you are on a carnivore or a keto diet, you then have to start supplementing. Now let's get into supplementation. If you've got the foundations of your diet right and you just get it all from food, you're good. But what we need to understand is when we add supplementation, 1, it's synthetic, and so it's just not the same. And 2, we're providing an out of balance of other vitamins and minerals. And most of the time, vitamins and minerals work in synergy. Like anything in nature, it works in synergy with other things. And I'm going to give you a really quick example here, but there are many, many examples like this. Let's take the fact that you go to the doctor, he takes your blood, results come back, and he goes, oh, darling, you're low iron. You need iron tablets. But he's not asked you if you're taking zinc. You might be supplementing with zinc because you've been suffering some colds and flus and things. Think that it's great for immunity, which zinc is. So you start supplementing with a synthetic zinc. And in the absence of copper, zinc and copper go together. All right. Now, if your zinc becomes too high, it further depletes your copper. Now, what does this have to do with iron? Iron needs to be inside your blood for you to utilize it. So if your doctor takes your blood and says you've got low iron, you go, well, that explains why I'm so tired. So yes, you are feeling the symptoms of it. It truly is. It's low blood iron. It actually is that, but it's not low iron. It's low blood iron. You don't have enough iron in your blood that transported around the body and where your body picks it up from and utilizes it. You have an iron recycling issue. Now, yes, there are some true cases of low iron. If you're not a red meat eater, things like that, yes, you can be vegetarian, you can be truly low in iron. I get that. But let's say you're not and you're still coming back with low iron. It is likely a copper deficiency. And that could be because you're taking zinc, because you've taken way too much zinc. It's now depleted your copper. And without copper and vitamin A, we don't recycle our iron into our blood. It gets pushed into our tissues and it stays there. Now, there can be a lot of issues caused by iron overload in the tissues. Candida is one. I suffered for many, many, many years with chronic candida that I couldn't get rid of. Flew all around the country, seeing all different specialists that could only medicate me. Not one asked me about what was going on with my diet. And yes, I had been supplementing zinc. So remove the zinc, get it from foods, oysters and beef liver. All these things that I'm talking about that women really lack in, that are really important for muscle growth and hormone balance. Vitamin A, B vitamins, selenium, copper, zinc. All of these things are found in very high concentration in beef liver and oysters. If you can eat a dozen oysters a week and 100 to 150 grams of beef liver, it is like taking a multivitamin. You shouldn't need all these other supplements. And the best thing about it is it comes in balance. Oyster has zinc and copper. Beef has lots of copper. It comes in balance. Nature doesn't provide things out of balance. So if we eat things without cutting these entire food groups, we're going to get all the nutrition. We just need to remember that once upon a time we ate nose to tail of the animal, and we don't do that anymore. Now, if you go, oh my God, liver and oysters, I can't stand the thought of them. So oysters can be fresh. They can be cooked as Kilpatrick. They can be the tinned oysters. You can get them in spring water. Just eat a tin of smoked tinned oysters a week. If you can't eat liver on its own, traditional that's done in flour and gravy and onion, I can't stand liver personally. I love pate. I do love pate. Pate on sourdough with orange marmalade. Oh my God, fucking the bomb. It's really hard to find a pate that doesn't have all the preservatives and additives. I don't really have the time to make it. An alternative is you can freeze it down into 10, 15 gram chunks, have one of the, chop it up, frozen, swallow it down raw. Yes, I did it for many, many years. I'm fine. The other thing is both oysters and livers come in a freeze-dried, capsulated form. Saturé is the place that I get them from. Look, there are lots of companies doing liver. I trust Saturé. I know they're not defatted. I know it's freeze-dried. I know it's come from organic beef. So there are three things that I look for. Oysters, I cannot find another oyster product on the market like Saturé's. Okay, so let's make sure we're getting that in. If you want the discount code, I'm going to put it in the show notes with a link below for you to go and have a look. They've got the A+ liver and the premium oyster capsules. So that's another way to do it if you can't eat it. But generally just eating dairy, grass-fed meat, root vegetables, fruits, juices, honeys, all these sorts of things that are packed full of vitamins and minerals without cutting these food groups, cutting carbs, cutting fats, eating excessive protein, because even excessive protein is not good for us. It pushes mTOR too much. I won't even get into that, but that can actually be bad for you as well. So we want to eat it in balance. Balancing your blood sugar. Let's get your meals right. Eat a little bit of every macro in every meal. If you're skipping meals or you're only eating protein or you're only eating carbohydrates in a meal, your blood sugar is going to be all over the show, and that is not optimal for your body. So we want to know, spend some time working out what your calories are. So get an online calculator, track your food, be consistent for 2 to 3 weeks, take your weights and some main point measurements, so your waist, your hips, your thighs. If everything stays the same, that is your maintenance calories. If it's going down, it's a deficit. If it's going up, it is a surplus. And the thing is these online calculators are a great starting point, but it hasn't taken in your personal metabolic rate. So if I was to get onto an online calculator, it's actually not that far off. It's pretty good, particularly when I use one with a body fat percentage, because it takes into account my muscle mass, which is great, and it can be fairly accurate. If I use one without body fat percentage, the calories are excessively low for me because I have a lot of muscle mass. But it's a starting point for you. If you've been I don't know, if you've been keto or intermittent fasting for many, many years, your body is not going to be optimal. Your metabolism is going to be a little bit slow. So those calories might actually be a bit too much for you, but you can drop them to find your maintenance. I highly recommend finding maintenance before you enter into any deficits. Spend some time at maintenance to understand what your maintenance is, because when you come out of a diet or out of a build, what calories do you go to? You don't know, do you? Because you don't know what the fuck maintains you. So get your body optimal and know what calories maintain you, so you're not eating in a deficit constantly and depriving your body of energy. Because if you're you can build muscle in a deficit. That's actually not true. But you can't stay in a permanent deficit and expect to build a body that you want. You want some time at maintenance, so you're feeling really healthy, your body isn't under stress, it's feeling optimal, it's getting all the nutrients it needs, so you can be premium building muscle. At that point, that's where you're going to build the most muscle. And then when you've done some time of that, then you can go into a deficit where your focus is on maintaining that muscle and just bringing down the body fat. But you need to understand that any deficit, again, is a stressor to the body. You can't stay there forever. Most of your time needs to be at maintenance with just phases of deficits. Now, if you are over 35% body fat, over 40% body fat, you may find you can actually have high calories and be in a deficit for a longer period of time. But it varies for everyone. But ultimately, we're looking for optimal. How do we build that muscle? And that's going to be at maintenance with all the nutrients coming in. So can you see where we're going with all of this about optimizing your body? You know, collagen is great for connective tissues. Once again, we don't eat nose to tail. So organ meats like liver isn't being eaten. Take the capsules if you have to, or eat the liver and the oysters. Collagen is another one. I supplement collagen because I live in the tropics, so slow cooker meals with like those gelatinous types of meat that need a long time to either roast in the oven or slow cook in a slow cooker. They're not appealing meals for most of the year because it's so hot here. And then I can't be bothered with bone broth. Yeah, that's just my preference. So I use a collagen powder. Again, I use sacchares. I know it comes from an organic grass-fed beef. A high quality hydrolyzed process, which means there is no gut disturbances. So I really love the Saturé collagen, and their casein is the complete protein powder that I use as well. So these products can be really great for convenience for the modern world, but put it into perspective of how we used to eat. This is literally what our body needs to function. It's like taking a cat. A cat is actually carnivore. Taking a cat and letting it live on fruit. Well, one, the cat's not going to eat it because it innately knows that that's not what fuels its body. But as human beings, we are omnivores. We are meant to eat fruits and roots and meats and dairy. We're meant to eat the whole works of it. That's how our body is designed and how it's evolved. So stop worrying about the fads. Stop thinking about the next supplement that's going to fix everything. If you haven't got the foundation and you haven't optimized your body to its physiological needs, so it is a highly efficient running machine with the lights on and the best Gucci handbag, then you're not going to be able to build that muscle. Your hormones are going to be out of whack. Always going to the foundations first. And then we move into training. I see you. You're overtraining. There's two of you. The one that overtrains and the one that goes in and trains but isn't confident in yourself, in what a woman's body can do. So someone might come to me and go, I'm doing a 35 kilo deadlift, a 40 kilo deadlift. I'm telling you now, with just a little bit of instruction on technique, you could lift 60 kilos off the ground. It's actually not that hard. It's not that hard to lift 50, 60 kilos off the ground. And I know you hear that and you go, oh my God, how could I ever lift that? Most women, actually, if they just got their form right and pushed hard enough, stopped being scared that their body is going to break and actually got gritty. Get gritty. Stop being a princess in the gym. Really work hard. And if more women did that, they could actually lift a lot more weight. So you're either not lifting weight heavy enough to the point of failure, you're not being gritty enough, or you're the other end where you're in the gym every fucking day training your ass off and your body isn't getting time to recover. Muscle growth happens for 24 to 48 hours after we've provided the stimulus. The growth does not happen in the gym. The stimulus to create growth happens in the gym. So essentially we go in and we work and we tear the muscle. So the muscle pulls apart a little bit. And then over the next 24 to 48 hours, it repairs. It's like bone. When bone breaks, it knits back together. Well, the muscle knits that gap. It doesn't knit it back together as in it fuses together. It fills the gap. And that's how you've created more muscle tissue. So it grows apart and it fills the gap. Grows apart, fills the gap. Go into the gym, tear it, fills the gap. That's what's happening. So if you're overtraining and you're not providing it with enough nutrients, so overtraining and not providing it with enough nutrients, it doesn't get time to fill the gap. Because if you go back in and hit that muscle again before it's filled the gap, you're just tearing it apart again, and it never truly builds enough muscle. So recovery is super, super, super important. If you want to be in the gym every day, you can train 5 days a week, but you need to be smart about what you're training. There should be quite short sessions just hitting a muscle group. Flogging yourself with cardio, thinking that, oh, I've done my training now I've got to go and do cardio, or doing cardio over and above strength training, only strength training once or twice a week, but hitting cardio every other day. We need to flip the script. You need to be strength training 3 to 4 times a week. If you want to do cardio sessions, that's fine. Do cardio sessions. I've actually recently introduced sprint intervals. I do it twice a week. I add it on to the end of a training session and I do no more than 10 minutes of it. It's actually increased my HRV, which is recovery. It's helping me. I'm not against cardio. Do I enjoy cardio? No. I used to run and it's fucking hard work. But if you enjoy it, because some people do, that's fine. But you need to be fueling yourself adequately, which we've just spoken about with calories. So your energy output, it's not just about the nutrients, it's all and the quantity, it's also about your energy output. The quantity going in needs to meet your energy output. And you need to fuel around training better. But you need to train in a way that's going to encourage muscle growth. Get gritty in the gym. Also give yourself in between lifting time to recover. They're the 2 biggest mistakes I see women making, that particularly in their 40s, because we're just not as resilient as what we used to be with our hormones shifting the way it is. So that doesn't mean that we treat ourselves like a princess and we don't train hard. We just got to be smarter about it. Also, overtraining sets, doing 4 and 5 sets per exercise. I mean, apart from the fact that you must be in the gym forever, I do 2 working sets. That is it. But I go balls to the walls for those 2 sets. Literally work to failure, 2 sets done. And I'm recovered. I do those 2 sets and I go, right, where's the next one? And I'm not dragging my ass out of the gym going, oh my God, I'm flogged. And some people thrive on that feeling, but what you don't realize is that that's actually an indication that you're overtraining. So you want to train smarter with progressive overload and grit. We don't want to be overtraining. We want to be training smart at this point in life. It's potentially why what you used to do works and now it doesn't, is because that hormonal shift doesn't allow you to flog your body. And years of this, your body is slowly just breaking down, whether it's the cortisol's going higher, it's now holding the body fat because the cortisol's always high because we just don't recover the way we used to. All right. Now, that's not even saying that the training like that in your 20s and 30s is good. It's just that we tend to bounce back. We should all be training a lot smarter than what we are. It doesn't have to be every single day flogging ourselves. So have a look at your training, and are you training smart? And are you training hard? And do you have the skill? If you don't have the skill to lift, if you don't know how to execute the move properly, you're going to hit a ceiling very quickly with how much you can lift. And that's the other thing I do with my clients. They send me in videos and I'm teaching them. I go, right, next time you go back in the gym, I want you to look at this. I want you to try this. Then record it for me. See, so I am coaching you as you go to teach you the skill of lifting. If you don't have a coach, go and get a PT, not to write you a program, but at least to show you the skill. I do find most PTs don't know how to program for women over 40, and their programs don't allow for recovery, and there's too many sets, too much volume, too many exercises, and it just flogs us. However, if you work better with a hands-on, maybe you need 2 or 3 sessions for someone to show you how to execute the main moves, show you a breathe and brace, show you the big compound lift, show you how all the machines work, and then you can go from there. I do this with all of my women, but they don't get it just for that initial part. As our muscle mass changes, little things in the way we execute change, and we're always picking up and refining. I still get feedback now from my coach on my lifts. Most of the time they're great, but it's like, oh, I can see this creeping in. Make sure you keep an eye on that as you push harder with this one. So it's always great to get feedback, or film your lifts and have a look yourself. Look online, troll through all the videos, see what they're saying about how to execute, and then compare your video. Filming your lifts really should be a must. So you need to know how to lift properly. And this way, if you know how to lift properly, you can actually push hard with minimal amount of sets, allowing for more recovery. And again, you've optimized yourself. So this whole thing, you can see how everything impacts everything. If you overtrain, you can't recover. If you don't sleep properly, you can't recover. If you don't have enough nutrition, your systems aren't going to work properly, which aren't going to grow the muscle or balance your hormones. All these things are all linked in together. There is no one supplementation. There is no one fad diet, and there is no one set calorie, and there is no one set program that is going to be the answer for a perimenopausal woman or a menopausal woman. It's all of them. If you truly want to create a midlife change where you are one of those women where we go, fuck, wow, look at their change. Optimize your body. Take note of what I've said in this podcast. Make sure you're getting good nutrition. Make sure you're getting sun and sleep, and you're lowering stress, and you're training smart. You need to do all of it. And I can guarantee you, when you make these changes and implement them into life and start living like this, it flows through to everything because you have clear thought. You don't lose your shit anywhere near as easy when someone leaves their clothes on the floor for the millionth time that you've told them not to. Because honestly, I've seen families become so much calmer because mum isn't fucking fried all the time. Why? Because she's actually managed to naturally bring her cortisol down by supporting her body and optimizing. Then she starts to actually feel good about yourself. Imagine feeling good about yourself, walking past the mirror, going, yeah, look at the shoulder pop. Nice, cool. Getting undressed every night with your husband. Surely that's got to feel better. There is nothing wrong with wanting to feel sexy in your skin, feeling great in a bikini. I don't think twice about putting a bikini on and stepping out and going into the water, not to show off, not to pose, just because I feel good. I'm not trying to hide it's not that I step out there going, oh my God, I feel amazing. Look at me. That's not what it's about. I actually just put the bikini on and walk out and go and enjoy the water. But what I'm not doing is, should I wear a shirt? Oh, what do my thighs look like? Oh, does my bum look big in this? Oh, should I pull them down? I'm not thinking, I shouldn't have bought this. None of that. Imagine being free of that. Imagine getting dressed for work in the morning and not constantly pulling at the waistband going, oh, these are really tight, or it just doesn't sit right on my arms. They're a bit, all of that it just disappears. Imagine how it would feel like to actually have all that negative thought and energy about your own self disappear. And it's replaced with high energy, feeling balanced, not being triggered by the smallest things in your family, having mental load relieved. Some of the processes that I take my clients through is like with, food prepping and stuff like that. And they don't have to, and tracking in advance, not on the fly. So the mental load of day-to-day life and just thinking about food disappears. I actually rarely track anymore. And I'm in a deficit, but I know what I'm doing and I'm eating fairly much the same meals, that even in a deficit, I'm not really tracking as hard. I check at the beginning of the week and then I go, yeah, okay, I'm good. And I just stick to it. I don't have to think about it anymore. I just weigh my food out because I just know my quantities. But I got that from years of tracking. And years of tracking when I went out for dinner, and years of tracking when I went on holidays. Like, I did it. Yes, okay, I did it for years. But if you just spent 12 months optimizing your body through nutrition, lifestyle, and training, in 12 months' time, you literally won't know yourself, your confidence, your balance, your inner peace. I cannot explain to you enough how much that inner peace washes over you with this, because you're not high cortisol peaking, your body's not scrambling for the nutrients just to keep you going and functioning low energy, and you're dragging yourself through life and you don't feel excited about anything because you're just too damn tired. This transformation isn't just about your physical appearance. It is about a life transformation. It literally filters to everything. Stop thinking weight loss. Stop thinking skinny and start thinking optimize. And the physical will come with it. It is a symptom of your lifestyle and habit choices. And if you don't like your body, that is because of your lifestyle and habit choices don't match what it takes to have an optimized body. You need to optimize everything. And when your body is optimal, it functions really well. That's not to say that supplements aren't good, that HRT might be a possibility for you. I'm not a pro or against HRT. Let's make this one really clear. But what I am for is HRT should not be jumped to so quickly when we're not talking about lifestyle training and nutrition first. Do that section first. Optimize your body. And then if you still have some perimenopause symptoms left over that are making life difficult, like if you have got still a lot of brain fog and your sex drive is still quite low, you might want to consider testosterone. Do the labs. Don't just go throwing a dart in the dark. Do the labs. And if your testosterone is low, you might find, or that you're finding that you're lacking muscle, being able to create muscle, even though you have optimized your body. That's when you start looking at these sorts of things. But most of the time, people don't need that if they optimize first. There are some cases where people may need, or you get stuck in high cortisol and you can't get it down. You're doing everything you can in lifestyle, nutrition, training, and that cortisol just won't come down. Or it went that far that you are now in adrenal fatigue. Adrenal fatigue, ladies, is not going to fix itself. Take it from someone, me, who has lived optimally for about 6 or 7 years now in training, nutrition, all of that sort of stuff. I've lived optimally for years and years and years, and yet I still ended up in adrenal fatigue, and that was not going to fix itself, which has required an adrenal protocol. It's also required for me to boost my progesterone because my adrenals weren't creating any cortisol, that it was stealing all my progesterone, as well as me being in late perimenopause. So I had to do something about it because I couldn't function. That came from emotional stress that I was unable to remove from my life. Dean being my partner. Dean had cancer twice. The first doctor was a dodgy doctor, created a lot of issues. He's had corrective surgery since then. He actually lost his kidney in the end because of it. It was a doctor that was at the hospital that I worked for. People lied to me. They knew that he had a history, and he was employed when he was already under investigation for very similar things that he did to my partner. So there was a lot of betrayal there. We also had a lot of court battles with Dean's ex-wife to keep the children because she was trying to take them. So you can imagine, even though I did all those things, there's stresses that I can't remove, and they took their toll on me. So yes, I was met with adrenal fatigue. I probably should have addressed the high cortisol to begin with, but to be honest, I don't know that still would have helped me. So there is a portion of you ladies out there, and you might feel like you're one of them. My life is just in absolute turmoil, and I feel like everything I do, nothing is working, and that's okay. I've got you. If that is you, and you truly feel like you are eating really well and you're training well and you're doing everything you can, but it's just not changing. Sometimes our bodies, even though we make the change, it's not enough to flip the switch, and we can get stuck with thyroid issues, cortisol issues. Our hormones may just need some support, and you just don't know where to start. And you don't trust, because we're hearing so much about how, and I've had, look, with my clients, many clients, I try and work in with the doctors. So I'm writing letters to them. I'm explaining them what I'm trying to do for my clients, what they have done, what I'm seeing, what blood tests I'd like to see to be able to nutritionally supplement and support them in conjunction with them. And I have had anywhere from GPs go, yeah, sure, no worries. I'll order all the tests for you. Let me know what you do. To, no, I'm not doing all these tests. These aren't necessary. I'll do these ones, but these ones aren't necessary. So then the client has to go private to get them. To even another doctor that went, well, fine, I'll order those tests, but I want nothing to do with them. Don't talk to me about them. That's literally the words that came out of his mouth to my client. Here she is with doctor after doctor telling her, bloods are fine, bloods are fine, bloods are fine, with anxiety, low energy. She can't get out of it, and she does everything right. And that doctor literally said, well, I'll run the bloods, but I want nothing to do with it. Where is his duty of care? Why can't he work in with me? So if you're feeling let down by the medical profession, found Graves in another client. Everyone kept telling her she was fine. There was nothing wrong with her. Found a doctor that actually would run the tests that I asked for. The poor woman has Graves and she's been doing that for years. So if you have lack of trust in the medical profession and you still feel like you've done everything and they're telling you that your bloods are all right and you're living really well and there's still something stuck, there can be things that you can do. And there are protocols that you can follow that can help reset your body. But remember, first comes the lifestyle, nutrition, and training. Then, if there's still things left over, then we go into it. Way too many. There's such a narrative out there around, particularly, we've got a lot of doctors in this space. There's a bone doctor out there that's talking about fucking perimenopause and menopause. A lot of them are treating menopause and perimenopause the same, and they're actually not. So they go straight to, is the fix all for everything. One, estrogen should not be prescribed without progesterone, regardless of whether you have a uterus or don't have a uterus and all that bullshit that goes on. It's about hormone balance. Estrogen should not be prescribed without progesterone. It should not be the first port of call. We should not be diving straight into HRT when we haven't even asked the questions about lifestyle and nutrition. Your body could simply be undernourished. And the other thing is things like progesterone, testosterone, estrogen, if they don't have the underpinning nutrition, it can actually make your symptoms worse. Do you know how many women have come to me and actually gone, well, I went on HRT and I felt worse and I gained all this weight and it was horrendous. I had to stop it. Yeah, that's right, because you weren't probably eating enough and you're undernourished, and then progesterone in particular is going to ramp up your metabolic rate. You're already not supporting the metabolic rate that you've got because you're undereating and undernourished. And now you've just added gasoline to that fire. It's not going to work for you. HRT is jumped to way too quickly. I am very supportive of HRT in the right circumstances. And you need to look at optimizing your body first in the way that our bodies were meant to function with nutrition, lifestyle, and training, and then look at HRT. It absolutely can be a tool and a wonderful tool and really get further optimize women's bodies to feel amazing. Do you know you actually can feel amazing at 40 and 50? I feel like I can take on the world. I never felt this confident about myself in my 30s. I can tell you that now. And you can get there. But HRT is a tool after the basics. Let's set the foundations first. Gut protocols. Again, a gut protocol. Let's just get the basics down first. Maybe you're just overeating in fucking broccoli and salads, or too much pasta that just doesn't. I know for me, pineapple juice, pasta. Cannot do. Not regularly anyway. I eat them on occasion because I love them. Pineapple juice, I go, oh, I can have any juice, whatever. That doesn't really bother me. But I do love pasta. So I eat it on occasion. But if I ate it day after day, week after week, and ate it regularly, it would just continue to inflame my gut. And then I would end up with a heap of issues. Let's calm everything down, remove a lot of things that we know can be known irritants, see where your gut's at. Then, if you're still having issues, let's do a gut protocol after the testing so we're not throwing darts in the dark. If you are having hormone symptoms, let's get all that food into you. Let's make sure you're sleeping well, getting some sunshine, lowering the stress. Okay, still got some symptoms? Sure, what's your options with HRT? I recommend getting these tests done. Still feeling stressed and like highly strung and wired and can't sleep? Right, let's have a look at your cortisol and your thyroid. Get the foundations first and then look at these other ones. So I help women right from the very beginning, where they're going, what's a fucking macro? How do I do this? Right through to optimizing themselves, building the muscle, and utilizing supplements, HRT, gut protocols, those sorts of things as tools to reset where needed. Not as a standard, but where needed. I think, the whole hormone testing, gut protocols can also be overutilized. If someone comes into you that's eating highly processed foods, not moving, not supporting their body properly with calories and macros and going, I can't build muscle, and they go, right, let's go straight to testing. You are going to find every single thing is wrong with you, and it's going to be, a supplement for this and a supplement for that. No. Let's clear up the noise. Which one is actually the root cause? Because there's this circle, as you've heard me talk about today, this circle of how things interact with one another. Is the issue actually your cortisol? Is the issue actually your hormone? Is the issue actually your thyroid? Or is your thyroid causing the cortisol? Is your cortisol causing the thyroid? We don't know. Get those foundations first, then do the testing, and it can clear up a lot of the noise and clear up a lot of symptoms. And then which symptom is really in a root cause. You'll test, You'll have a much clearer view with less things wrong with you to know exactly what to target. That's the way I like to look at things. And empower women with the education, and it's not a decision for me to make. It's about giving women the right information to be able to make the choices right for their body. But this is about optimization. You can be in midlife and have that full transformation and have that optimized body. But you need to remember that if you can't pay the electricity bill, you can't be out buying that Gucci handbag. You cannot. Stop running your body like a household budget that's bankrupt. And with that, I'll leave it with you. You can see the saturated links below. And if you want any more information on the process I do with optimizing women's bodies and giving them that midlife transformation, reach out to me on Instagram at strengthtraining.nutritionist. Also, take a screenshot of this podcast and share it on Instagram and tag me. And until next fortnight, see you later.